Welcome everyone to another top 10. I'm Old School Gamer 1971. Millie, Lloyd, everyone, hope you're all having a great day. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, please like, comment and share. Check out my channel and subscribe, as it helps the channel grow and puts a big old smile on this old face. Today's top 10 is Antagonists Who Need Their Own Game, 2020 edition. What we have here is a list of gits. Gits who are entertaining. Doesn't mean they even have to be able to communicate. Just be interesting. Sometimes crazy, sometimes sadistic, and even sometimes stupid. They have all made us smile. Sometimes they've angered us, pissed us off with what they have done to us or our party. Remembering that it's only through the antagonist's evil do we see how good the protagonist is. I have searched through my PlayStation back catalogue to find those that have entertained me most, whether it be vocally, charisma or scary as hell. They have all earned their way onto this list. I am sure you have in your heads who should be on this list, and tell me who I missed in the comments down below. So let's raise a glass and celebrate our antagonists and hope that they get their own game one day. And so we start off with number 10, Alien from Alien Isolation and the Alien franchise. So we start off with something that can't even talk, but sure scared the living hell out of the young me. One of the more fun things about Alien vs Predator was playing as the alien. In the last game in the series you started off as an alien, but I think it could be a lot cooler to start off as a facehugger. You know, trying to find a human host or maybe an animal to get a different kind of alien. Then trying to keep away long enough to grow into an adult alien, to wreak havoc on the crew as an adult alien. It's been a while since Alien Isolation for the PlayStation 4. Maybe Alien Isolation 2 could be from the alien viewpoint. Moving on to number 9, Scabrous Scrotus from Mad Max. I would love to say that it's more than the name, and it is. One of the things that made Mad Max a damn good franchise is the antagonists are a lot more interesting than the protagonist. Toe Cutter, Humongous, Master Blaster and Immortan Joe. Likewise, Scabrous Scrotus is like all the rest. For me, I want to see what warped his mind and made him the monster that he is. Plus, every cutscene I want him to make people call him by his whole name. And yes, I am a child. Also, I want back into that wasteland. Number 8, Dutch van der Linde from the Red Dead Redemption franchise. He was one of the antagonists of the original Red Dead Redemption, but he was an interesting character, falling on the wrong side of the law and a real problem for Arthur, especially by the end of Red Dead Redemption 2. He seemed to have a moral code for a while. It would be cool to see how the gang came together. Rockstar always seemed to do an amazing job of getting the world and characterization right almost every single time. I think that going back in time again with Red Dead Redemption 3, maybe Arthur Morgan, a young John Marsden and Dutch van der Linde, 3 main characters just like GTA 5. My number 7, Dr. Nefarious from the Ratchet & Clank series. The first mention of Dr. Nefarious was his robots were in Blackwater City and returning later in Destroy All Life. Originally, he was an organic life form with a huge head. He is now robotic with a huge head. He now eats anything organic. All of his plans seem to be to destroy all organic life. He is like the villains you remember. He thinks he is more intelligent than anyone else, but his plans always have a flaw that only he cannot see. He was playable in All for One, but I think he is long overdue his own game, on one where he enacts his revenge on Quark. Moving on to number 6, Goro Majima from the Yakuza series. This guy is crazy. He enjoys both the violence he inflicts and the violence inflicted on him. Whilst not an antagonist as such, he is hardly a candidate of an anti-hero, yet alone hero. When you're introduced to Goro during the first Yakuza game, he wants to fight you and nearly beats one of his own men to death for not beating you. When you get out of prison, he wants to fight you. He finds you are weak and tells you to get stronger as you are no fun to fight, as a shadow of your former self. I like the character and played him often on Yakuza Dead Souls on the PlayStation 3. Come on, hurry up with a remaster. Number 5. Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. This guy gets in on looks alone and how much of an above average git he is on the gitometer. In a way, he is kinda right about some of the things that he says. Pity he is insane and generally likes to ruin your day. He also has a massive sword and he is not afraid to use it. I would love to see his perspective of what came before Final Fantasy VII, when he was a charismatic hero for Shinra and his fall from grace. I know it was glossed over in Final Fantasy VII, but feel it would make a really interesting game. My number 4, Joker from the Batman Arkham series. To me, this is the best version of the Joker, film or otherwise. Mark Hamill shows off his acting chops with the right amount of craziness. Realising it is Mark Hamill was bad enough, but seeing him record the performance is something else. Go and check it out on YouTube, honestly. I know you can play as the Joker in challenges, but how about his own game instead, where you try and outsmart the Caped Crusader for once, where the ultimate goal is Batman's insanity or death. Come on, we all want this. Moving on to my number 3, Georgie Porgy from the Wolf Among Us series. This may just be my favourite Telltale game ever. This was filled with unexpectedly good characterisation and an interesting story to boot. For example, Georgie Porgy runs a lap dancing club called the Pudding and Pie, swears like a trooper and has tats. By the end you find out he is not as bad as you've been led to believe. That's not to say he's not a bad guy, just that he's not that bad guy. I would like to see a game with you maybe even running the Pudding and Pie Club, a kind of twisted management sim. And my penultimate entry, Bars from Far Cry 3. I think anyone who has played this game can understand how much of a git this man is, and yet at the same time, how much charisma can one man possess. Another crazy one, surprising how many antagonists share this character trait. It's him telling you to kill your friends, it's realising how bad he really is. He steals every scene he is in, and it was good to see this game remastered, but I think now may be the time to give us a Far Cry game where we play the bad guy, and what better bad guy to be than Bars. And my number 1, Wesker from the Resident Evil series. And Wesker is number 1. Here is the only gaming character with more charisma than Bars. Whether it's the original PlayStation version or DC Douglas, Douglas brings a whole different dimension to the character. Check out his DC Douglas Wesker Old Spice advert. When I made this list, I knew he would be number 1. With Lando Calrissian levels of treachery, and yet still I want to see his story. I actually would also like to see him resurrected in the game series. He's the only one who I can remember out of all of them apart from Birkin. It's once you realise that he only set up stars as guinea pigs to see how tough his creations are, and the lengths he would go to get away with it. He infected himself. And it's done. Hope you all enjoyed this top 10. There's plenty more content like this on my channel. Check it out, and if you would, spread the word. Leave any suggestions down below in the comments. Enjoy your day one and all. This is Old School Gamer 1971 signing off.